the rainbow bridge of Asgard, where the booming heavens roar. You'll behold in breathless wonder the God of thunder, mighty Thor.
In 2011, a Marvel film like no other released. And that film, of course, is Kenneth Branagh's Thor. In our universe, we will only be making a few small changes to this movie. First off, the vibe and look of Asgard isn't it, in my opinion. I don't believe Asgard should be grounded. They're alien space Viking gods. It should be like this. In 1980, one of the weirdest films of all time came out. After development hell through all of the 70s, and it was called Flash Gordon. The sets and the costumes were amazing, and the vibe was weird as hell, but also endearing. And it's perfect for Thor. Make it look like it does in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Do not ground Asgard. The outfits will not be weird in the metal. They will be more like the Love and Thunder black suits right here. So Thor will of course look like this with the helmet. He will never take that thing off. And Loki will look like this concept art with the weird crows, because I think that concept art's sweet. Our second change we're making is that we will be lessening the plots with Jane Foster and Earth. We will still have it in the movie, but not as much, because that shit is really goddamn boring. And our third change is include Balder the Brave somehow. I don't really know how to weave him into the plot well, because Balder the Brave is a really, really important character to Thor. And our final change is Eric Selvig will of course mention Hank Pym in this scene. That's really all the changes we're making. On to the next film, I think.
Once was a man named Dr. Pym, he decided to make a suit on a wheel. Though his pals were only a few, he knew just what he had to do. He's Ant-Man, he's Ant-Man, he's Ant-Man, he's Ant-Man.
Marvel chose the wrong Ant-Man and the Wasp. Scott Lang is not the right Ant-Man to start a Marvel Cinematic Universe with. It should have been Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne in Phase 1. A Phase 1 Ant-Man film was never made, which is sad, because the potential for a Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne Phase 1 Ant-Man film is enormous. We know this movie could have happened with Edgar Wright, but our direction is a little different because he would have done Scott Lang and we're doing Hank Pym, but it would have been the same director, same time order came out. So we made a story that could easily fit into a Phase 1 context. Here's our Ant-Man and the Wasp, which is inspired by Tales to Astonish issue 44, Ant-Man and the Wasp Avengers Origins, The Avengers Game, Ant-Man Season 1, and Tales to Astonish issue 45. So, here's the story. Hank gets fired from S.H.I.E.L.D. for not wanting to use his Pym particles for war, this being shortly after the suspicious murder of his wife Maria. We skip 5 years later with him going to an interview at AIM Labs to meet with the CEO George Tarleton about using Hank's Pym particles on the MODOK project to forward human intelligence and make weapons. Hank shuts this down immediately, then meets George's tailor/assistant Janet Van Dyne. He goes back to his place and shrinks down for the first time. Man in the anthill-like shenanigans ensue. He goes on a date with Janet Van Dyne, them not admitting their feelings for each other yet. Janet's dad is then murdered by George Tarleton, now the MODOK, using his stolen Pym particles from his murder victim Maria Pym previously in the story. Janet goes to investigate her dad's murder, but instead gets transformed into the Wasp by MODOK. She escapes and goes back to Hank. She gets the costume and learns how to use her powers. They do a heist on AIM to prove MODOK guilty. Final battle with MODOK. End of the film. I kind of want to make our Ant-Man movie like How I Met Your Mother with superheroes. Because if you really look at all the other Marvel projects, they're basically already existing movies with superheroes put into them. Because Iron Man is basically Top Gun, even down to Tom Cruise originally cast as Iron Man. The Incredible Hulk is basically Fight Club because Edward Norton, and it's all about mental struggles and people inside of your head. And Thor's basically their attempt at Lord of the Rings. So we want to make Ant-Man like How I Met Your Mother with superheroes. Because our cast is very similar to this show's already existing cast. Straight down to our pick for Ant-Man. Neil Patrick Harris is the perfect cinematic Ant-Man. Evidence 1, the intelligence. Doogie Howser. Evidence 2, the look. Look at him. Evidence 3, his demeanor in real life is so similar to Hank Pym, it is unreal. Neil Patrick Harris is our Ant-Man. In my opinion, Colby Smulders is not a good choice for Maria Hill, but I do think she is a perfect choice for Janet Van Dyne. In How I Met Your Mother, the character of Robin has that same energetic, fun quality with that vulnerability of Janet Van Dyne that would be perfect for an Ant-Man and the Wasp film. And all that chemistry with Neil Patrick Harris, Colby Smulders is our Wasp. Like Neil Patrick Harris, Patton Oswalt is the perfect cinematic MODOK. He already played him in the Hulu show, and he was just spot on in that role. So we're just keeping Patton Oswalt as MODOK. I think it'd be perfect for the story. I personally believe that Jeremy Renner is a bad choice to play Hawkeye. Earlier in the film, they do a heist on S.H.I.E.L.D. that leads to an intercation with Hawkeye, so we need to cast him for this movie. So instead of Jeremy Renner, we would choose the guy who auditioned for Hawkeye but never got the part, Jensen Ackles. For Goliath, there's only really one guy who came to mind when I thought of who could play Goliath in a comedic Ant-Man film. In our opinion, that is Hannibal Buress. So, that was this episode. I hope you guys liked it. The next one will be Captain America and the big one in Avengers. Now, this fan trailer was made by The Death's Head on YouTube, so I'm just throwing out credit for this upcoming clip.
And there came a day unlike any other, when Earth's mightiest heroes found themselves united against a common threat, to fight the foes no single superhero could withstand. On that day, the Avengers were born.
So that is our mission. There is nothing more important than completing our mission.
I am now your king.